You don't have to cut on now. You can, doesn't matter. Can you see me? Mhm.
88.3 FM comes from Richmond's Toney Orr. If you business owner or and would like information on how they can be announced on KABF, contact our office at 501-372-6199. That's 501-372-6199.
Beef, eggs, milk, and other staples. We provide immediate relief and allow wages to catch up to food prices. Senior Blackness says lawmakers could hit anti-competitive practices.
I can't hear you. You on you laugh.
The reading room on grocery prices provide some relief. Do that while creating space to undertake some different reforms that we think are important.
He adds grocers could recover any lost income through lowered credit card transaction fees, expanded SNAP benefits, and exemptions from certain tariffs. Critics argue the plan could lead to food shortages while failing to address the root causes of inflation, including supply chain issues. According to the University of Arkansas, over 28% of the state struggles with food insecurity. Data show grocery prices are up 30% since 2020, with the typical family spending more than $1,000 a month at the market. President Donald Trump vowed to lower grocery prices during his second term in office, but Negron says expected tariff and immigration policies implemented public safety net programs have only increased costs and created foreign labor shortages. He says the president could help secure major legislative reforms for the average American family.
If the president is willing to bully CBS into bringing more conservative views onto the airs, then certainly a president can leverage an attractive suite of incentives to just get people to provide relief to consumers.
Negron explains creating stable prices along with corporate reforms and policies to make the food system more resilient could save a family of four an average of $134 a year. I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
We are at a critical juncture. Climate inequity is systemically decreasing the lifespans of communities of color, and the EPA is doing nothing to stop it. This ends now. My name is Libby Meyer, and I'm an activist for climate justice. With your help, we will be the generation to dismantle environmental racism. Text climate to 38383.
You can cut your camera on if you want to.
It changed another God. It makes me from the law and ceremony of God. The big holy God. They call it laws and verse over the laws. They call it laws. Midnight, but the Lord will stop and it's not to go on. They take the whole position. They can sit like I'll be there. I'm so far out there. They will die. They will get out back to the drama. The killer separated from I won't stop. Just hating one life. A goal is fine. Another one. I hope they take the one under the eye. Watch me ever be on and wait for the testify. The level for me, the Lord, I'm just to justify.
Yes, we coming in hot this morning with Black Thought, talking about being a state prisoner, and it's the one very good choice for the guest that we have on the show today. Hey, the let's see, we got Veranda on the line, Don on the line. Y'all can't hear the music. Can y'all hear me talking? You say you can't hear the music. Can you hear me talking? Hotep on the line, wishing us life, prosperity, and health right here, Community Voices, KABF 88.3, where we are live in the studio, and I am your host, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise. And I got somebody in here with me today, y'all. If you on Facebook, you already see him in here with me today. I've been begging and pleading and pulling and dragging, trying to get him to come on this show, and here he is, y'all. Okay, Don says you can hear me. All right, thank you so much. And so we want you to know, first of all, before we get started with anything else, we always want to make sure that we start and we begin in a spirit of gratitude. That we are reminded, I am reminded every time I sit in this studio chair, every time I walk up those steps, every time I walk through the door, that it would not even be possible for me to do so were it not for you. All of the ways that you all show up for us, I am elated. I am grateful. We look, KABF 88.3 could not survive without you. So thank you for all that you do in the community, on the radio with us, everything that you do. We really, really, really appreciate it so much. And it is in the spirit of Sawubona that you are greeted this morning, the spirit of oneness that binds us together by our humanity. That is what we are doing today. We're talking about how we are bound together by our humanity, and our humanity includes the whole story, the whole world, global story, especially the American story. And so that's why we center Blackness in the context of that American story. So everyone is invited to the conversation where we center Blackness in this space. I think this just gonna be me and Knowledge. Toney might not, he's coming back from the funeral, y'all. Give him some grace. Whatever he's doing, I'm sure it's good work. I'm sure it's good work. But right now, I just want you to greet us right now. Who's in the house today? Listen, who in the house today? Greet us.
Hey, how y'all doing? Peace, 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 community. This Brotha Knowledge
Brotha
in the building. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you are finally here. Okay, I do need to make a couple of announcements before we get started, and I do have our EJI tidbit along with the song to talk about. But today is the last day to vote. Today is the official election day for the primaries. The primaries, this is a very important election because the primaries are always important because you are choosing in the primaries who you want to show up on the ballot for the general election. If you don't feel like the person deserves a job, you have to vote now to make sure that they don't even get the opportunity to get the job because they're not going to even show up on the ballot because we would have stopped them right now. And so I hope that those of you who have been waiting on this day, I hope that when you go, it's lines. I hope you have to wait an hour before you can vote because everyone needs to vote. All roads lead to the ballot box. I've been waiting on Reverend Humphrey Sr. Judge Humphrey. I've been waiting on him to put out who he thinks that who he suggests that you vote for. So those of you who have not yet voted, you need some assistance, you want a little guidance. Here is what Reverend Humphrey offers to you. Dear friend, as we approach the March 3rd, 2026 Democratic primary and the early voting that begins on February 17, 2026, I recommend the following persons for elections for good government and diverse representation. So for United States Senate, Hallie Schaffner. United States Congress 2nd District, that's Chris Jones. Governor, State Senator Fred Love. State Senate District 13, Jason Williams. State Senate District 15. All three of those are excellent candidates. State House District 70, Cordelia Smith Johnson. State House District 72, both are excellent candidates. Pulaski County Judge, Wendell Griffin. Pulaski County Sheriff, Sheriff Eric S. Higgins. Pulaski County Treasurer, Adam Fogelman. Constable, Big Rock Township, E. Curtis Hooks. Justice of the Peace for District 5, Tommy Branch. State Supreme Court, John Adams. Prosecuting Attorney, Bobby Forrest Jr. Circuit Judge Division 3, I want to say that that's Robert Tellez. Circuit Judge Division 11, Judge Patricia James. School millage tax, vote for it. Pulaski School District Zone 2, Kiara Shepherd. Pulaski School District Zone 3, Bradley Morrison. Pulaski School District Zone 7, James Jackson. Special General Election, Alex Holliday. All of that is from the Reverend Marion A. Humphrey Sr. Okay, Don says we need to hope it's quick. People be Don said, "Nah, they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait." Okay. So I don't wish that you're gonna have a long line if that's gonna make you not wait. I need you to go in there and wait. So look, quick, whatever you need. I hope you get it, whatever you need. And so here's so Don Jeffrey asked the question. I wonder why they chose Hallie Schaffner over the black man Ethan Dunbar, but I don't know either one of them. I don't know. That's a good question. I could ask Reverend Humphrey and see if he'll answer us. And see what he has to say. So I want us to talk about this book. This song. Hold on just a minute. This is Don again. Napper is the only one who has talked about ending the school to prison pipeline. Napper is the only one who has talked about ending the school to prison pipeline. So this is Don helping you make your decisions, because we want you to go to the ballot box and make an educated vote. So yes, we want you to vote, but we don't want you we want you to vote, but we wanted you to vote with purpose. That's how I should say it. Let's vote with purpose. And so Knowledge, I always ask people, lately I've been asking people to tell me what song inspires them, what song motivates them, what song gets them moving or whatever. And then that's the song that we use to ground the conversation for today. And so you chose this, I guess it's a rap. It sounds like a conscious rap to me, but you chose this rap by Black Thought called State Prisoner. And I just wonder, why did you choose that?
Oh, well, during my time on lock, this became one of the songs that inspired me. I would wake up to it a lot of days, and I would envision seeing myself coming on air to this song.
Really?
Yeah. Now, it came differently because I was the host in my vision.
Oh, okay.
But we on the right track.
Okay.
On the path towards that. So yeah, and it was just very inspirational. Black Thought is one of those rappers that is an activist and known, been putting it down with the roots in the community for the longest. And so, it's Black Power for real.
What's your favorite line? Do you have a favorite line in it?
Oh, shoot. Let's say I would say the favorite line. Oh, he got so many lines in his song. But I think when he says this one here right here, but I like it. He says part Farrakhan, part Zulu.
Mm-hmm.
Meet Pharaoh Khufu. Pharaoh Khufu was an enlightened pharaoh in ancient Kemet, what we call a lot of people call Egypt today, and the step pyramid, that's over there in the motherland. He was instrumental in that, although his architect was Imhotep. And so that's the guy. When we see the staffs in medicine today, that's where they get it from. I always go back to the motherland, Black people.
We say all roads lead to the ballot box. All the world leads back to Black folks, First Nation people. So my favorite line, I think, Well, it was, I ain't gonna tell no story. It's difficult for me. I don't know whether it's because I have a hearing deficiency or I just have not trained myself to understand rap. But I had it, well, it's not even rap. Every time somebody sends me a song, I want to pull up the words. I want to pull up the words because I need to understand what you're saying. I can't understand what you're saying. One of the things that I thought about when he was rapping, this is Black Thought, is when he says, I represent the unwanted and the undesired. And so I thought about that. I was like, okay, well, I feel like you can see it in two ways. I represent the unwanted and the undesired. So when I show up as one who has been unwanted, one who has been undesired. So I represent them. You see me, you see them. I looked at it like that. And then I felt like you can also look at it through a different lens that says, these are the people, those people that you have declared, not me. I don't feel this way about me, but the way that you treat other folks, like they are unwanted or they are undesired. I show up for them. I show up on behalf of them. I carry them with me. It's that Sawubona spirit at work. And so I appreciated him saying, regardless of the perspective, I appreciate him even bringing them into the conversation, because I think that's part of the problem now. We keep talking about people like those people over there or these people over here, as if we are not all one people. Like, so we get it twisted when we think that it's just me and my house. Y'all listen, just me and my house. That's not the way it goes. And so I appreciate you, because if you had not picked this song, I don't think I ever would have heard it. I don't think I ever would have heard it. So I appreciate that. I want to ground us in our EJI tidbit for today. I chose to use, especially because it's election day, I chose to use March 2nd. On March 2nd in 1948, on the eve of a primary election in Wrightsville, Johnson County, Georgia, at least 300 white men and women belonging to the Ku Klux Klan held a parade in the town's center. The gathering featured speeches inciting racial hatred and violence, and participants burned crosses on the lawn of the county courthouse. The event was organized to threaten and intimidate the county's 400 registered Black voters into not voting in the primary the following day. And the terror tactics worked. Fearing for their safety and knowing they had no expectation of protection from law enforcement, not a single Black citizen of Wrightsville cast a vote in the primary. All roads lead to the ballot box. If we have this history of how hard and difficult it was for somebody to vote, so much so that I literally had to put my life on the line in order to vote, or I literally had to put my life on the line in order for me to choose not to vote. That's how hard and difficult and painful and traumatizing it was to vote in 1948. The tactics have not changed. They're still doing things at the ballot box. They don't want you to give anybody water. You got to show your ID. They got to look up your ID, and then you got to tell them what they looking at on the on the screen where they already looked it up. Like the tactics are still the same. It's to get you to not vote. But we do not have the same. We're not facing the same consequences for our vote today. Not the same consequences as in 1948 or even in 1960. Will there be consequences? I don't know. But if so, they're worth it to vote. And again, the primary is essential, because that's how who you vote for in the general election. This is where they get decided. We make that decision now. All roads lead to the ballot box. And so if we have said this before, but I think I'm going to stop saying it because I don't think it holds any power anymore, where we say what that we should vote if for no other reason. Stop saying that the vote doesn't matter. Like, we should say, stop saying that your vote doesn't matter, because if it didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so hard for it. I think that's kind of played out. I don't want us to think about how we behave based on how they will feel based on how we behave. Like, I don't want us to keep saying, well, what they're doing to us about the ballot box is what I'm saying. We focusing on, that's why they keep doing this to us. That's why they keep doing that to us. That's why they. So let's take away whoever they is. Let's take away their gaze. And let's just turn our eyes, turn our eyes upon ourselves and say, what is it about me that makes me think that my vote doesn't matter? Do I not recognize the value and the power of my vote? Let me vote for my sake, because I want to exercise my power. And so we're talking about power today, because now you got knowledge in the house. When I see you, you just look like power. What do you want us to know about you, Knowledge?
Good question. I think it's basically I'm a knowledge seeker, freedom fighter. Um, I'm a person who, you know, is excited to be a part of the community that just doesn't sit around and watch things happen to them, but gets out there and try to make change within the community ourselves. And so, you know, I'm just happy to be here among so many people that I'm sure that I know of. You named a few already that was in the building this morning. You know, it's just good to be able to link up and show love and support. And you know, that's who I am. I'm part. I'm you.
Ubuntu.
Yeah, yeah. We community, we one. And so you know, peace.
So here's what Lo says: the fear of losing power and control over those who are marginalized is one of the reasons for driving folks away from the ballot. The fear of losing power and control over those who are marginalized is one of the reasons for driving people away from the ballot. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF at 8.3. Thanks for calling Community Voices.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, my name's Chad. I called the phone number on the phone bill. I work for corporate AT&T.
Okay, well, you've got the wrong number.
Is this for Art Broadcasting?
Let me tell you the number that you should call. Do you have a pen handy?
All right.
It's area code 501
Okay.
372
Okay.
6119. 501 372 6119.
I got the 372. The rest of it's not quite coming through the sending part. The last four numbers.
6119.
Yeah. That's something I can help fix. That's not your fault. I know exactly what it is.
I ain't gonna. So knowledge. We were talking. I was trying to ground us in the ballot box, and then to have it the conversation about the young man that the song you used being a state prisoner, and now you having formerly been a state prisoner, and now here you are. Do you have a right to the ballot box right now?
No man.
Yeah. And see, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. So it's so much power. And I really have been thinking about that, the link between like why can't you vote just because you are incarcerated? Like why can't you? Because this is still the world that you live in. You still have people out here. You have children, you have families, you've got neighborhoods, you got aunties, you got special people that you love. So you're still a part of the community. So I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think once I'm gonna find the state, I think that was I think it was in California. Somebody was successful in getting getting that not to be a reason that you can't vote just because you're formerly incarcerated. So how do you feel about that, the fact that you can't vote?
Well, I definitely feel that it's one of the remaining effects of my life that lets me know I'm still not free.
Mm.
You know, because I would definitely exercise my power to do so in that area if it was available to me.
And I think that, of course, they do that by design. As many people as they can keep from the ballot box as possible, that's what they're going to do. And so we have to make up in our minds that we know the power of our voice at the ballot box. And no matter what they do, we have to be willing to exercise that power that you're just talking about. And maybe if we didn't have it, we would feel different about it. Do you know what I mean? Because like you don't have the right. So it's like it's important to you. It's impressed upon you because you can't do it. Like I should be able to do this. And some of us who actually we have the right to do it, we don't have any restrictions on it, and we still won't. So that's interesting. Maybe it's because we can just dismiss it because it's no big deal. I don't know what people are thinking, but all roads lead to the ballot box. And so we've been talking, you bust up in the studio not too long ago because you were talking about the ban on books in prisons. And I want you to see if you can circle back to that and try to give us an update, let us know what's going on. And we could talk about the article, all of that.
Okay. Well, the Arkansas Department of Corrections the board had passed a policy where they were about to implement a book ban coming from all family members, friends. No one would be able to purchase books and send them in, even through validated vendors. Like a book couldn't come from Barnes and Noble, Amazon, uh, God forbid any black catalogs that that have those real serious titles that we like. Where we see uh, those African American catalogs where you see the books for the first time browsing through them. Those catalogs wouldn't even be allowed in. Other media outlets would have no longer been allowed in, and they claimed that the purpose was that they were trying to stop
Contraband.
contraband from coming in the books. But we know that it's only a small amount that comes in through books, through the mail in general. And but this is something that Arkansas has been planning for a long time, from my perspective, because even during my time, I watched things change, where we used to have letters from our people, our loved ones. You may have, it's all about, to me, it's all about, just dehumanizing the person a little bit more. So at one time, incarcerated person would have been able to receive a letter, and if you want them to smell your scent, you want to spray a little perfume on it. Bam, once the letter get there, a person can read and have that scent and be reminded of, hey, I remember this thing, and so and that was a form of humanity that was just another, it's taken. I mean, in this part, you're talking about decentralizing people. So this is a sense, and so when you do that type of stuff, the feel of being able to see, as a person writes, to be able to put your hand on that paper and know that it's coming from them, or the ink that might bleed on the paper, all those things. But they got to the point where all they would do was copy the letter, and we would receive the letters in the black and white copy form, and the original letters would end up somewhere. They say they would toss or destroy them, but who knows? Somebody else might have been enjoying your scene.
I think that was one of the things that I don't want to say shocked me, but I don't even remember how I found out. But I would on purpose, I would choose very colorful cards to send to anyone who had written me from being incarcerated. I would do it on purpose. Sometimes I was actually draw with my own hand and use color, because that's so important to me as an artist. Color just, it makes everything better. People say bacon make everything better. I think color make everything better. And so when I found out, I'm like, so wait, what now? So there's no the aesthetic of it, it's just black and white. Like, then I'm like, why you? And then even if they did make the copy, I couldn't understand why they still wouldn't give you the original. Like, you've made a copy of, what it says, so why can't you give them the original? So I did think that was just cruel. Like, you're just doing too much. You're just going out of your way to dehumanize people, and that's what they do. And so this article that you are in. It's called Reading to Rights, Former Inmates Bristle at Behind Bars Book Ban, and you are part of this, written by Elizabeth Klein and Ariel Robinson. This is the March 2026 edition of Arkansas Times. And so you are talking now about what they wanted to do, as if the ban isn't going to go through. Is the ban gone? Like, are we still fighting it, or what are we doing?
We have where they stood down.
Okay.
That they scrapped it.
Okay.
After, because they received some major heat behind it. A lot of people came together. Arkansas received national attention for attempting this. It was going to be the strictest book ban in the nation.
In the nation.
And so, but they were willing to lead the way in it. You know, they said, hey, this is something we should be proud to lead the way in, is what the board was saying. So, but, you know, it was enough heat that came down, you know, enough people came together, the article came out, and, you know, it was like, it was a wrap. But I always say that you be wary of when people have intentions and then they see that they can't go through with those intentions because people have stood up against them, it still doesn't remove it from the heart and the mind, you know. And so they say it's scrap, and I would love that to be so, you know. Right now I just consider it a battle won. You know,
A battle.
we still at war, so.
I feel like that's another thing that people will use for not voting. An excuse that they will use is they say it doesn't make a difference, nothing works out for us, we never get anything, we never get what we want. But that story right there, it proves that yes, you standing your ground, standing 10 toes down on business, it does matter, it does make a difference. And so Lowe says is using a play from the Nazi playbook. I haven't read the Nazi playbook, so y'all might know what he's talking about. They're using a play from the Nazis playbook. I guess because they burn books. They burn books. But go ahead.
You know, to keep everybody uniform in mindset, you know, what's available to you to read. Yes, of course, the book burning, but also what you provide people in place of that, you know, is important. It's very important that you're doing away with books that you don't want people to have access to. But when you look at what's being provided, then you see what the plan really is, where they're going with it. And so, yeah.
It's interesting because one of the critiques about the books that they are offering right now is that they are outdated. They're 19th century, early 20th century. One of the titles of the books that are offered is it's called Say Fellows, 50 Practical Talks with Boys on Life's Big Issues. And this is a 1921 parenting guide. Another thing that they offer is a book of old ballads, volumes 1 through 4. Like, what are you going to do that? But when you ask the the Arkansas Department of Corrections Communications Chief, Rand Champion, he said the prison libraries are updated and fully stocked, and said that the department is exploring different ways to expand that catalog. If it's up to date, he said it's updated, but you got the 1921 parenting guide. One of the first questions I had is, has he ever even looked at the catalog that's on the tablet? And it was interesting to me to see you have tablets. They will give you access to tablets so you can read, but most of the time when you read, it's at night after you've done all your work. It's time for you to read. Then they say you can't have the tablets at night. So now how you gonna read if you can't have the tablet at night? And then if they do give you a tablet, the tablet might not be charged, so it might not be even work. And so all of these techniques and tactics that they're using to make sure that you do not have an opportunity to read. And the people that are in you along with the people that are in this article, all of you talked about the fact that the reading was necessary not only to transport you to another place and allow you to have that visual aesthetic, just to use your imagination, but most of y'all was trying to get free. So what am I going to do when I'm free? How am I going to move? How am I going to live? How am I going to adjust? How am I going to adapt? And so the reading was vital to your survival and vital to your next step. That's what I understand y'all to be saying in this article. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, most definitely. And big ups and shout out to the Decarcerate team that put in the work. Thank you so much for the opportunity. To the reporters of the Arkansas Times, Miss Elizabeth was really gracious in her approach in dealing with us. You know, there's so much that could be said about this in a short amount of time. I like. Do you have any specific questions concerning anything that you read in the article or would want to know specifically?
Because you want to stop talking about the article.
No. But
I do.
I'll say this one most important thing that that for me made me want to stand up even more so in this situation. I talked about how there was a Bible that was released in 1807. Uh, it's known today as the Slave Bible. The Bible was heavily redacted. 90% of the Old Testament was removed. I believe, and 50% of the New Testament. And so you can imagine all the things that were taken out. And so this was yet another version of the Bible that you would consider this as like a enslaved denominational form translation and version where it was passed throughout the plantations from the West Indies to these United States of America. And these were the approved passages that the enslaved were finally allowed to learn to read. And for those that couldn't read, to be able to take in through their senses, through their ears, through ones that could read, or through the plantation owner who would a lot of times gather the enslaved together for mandatory Sunday services. And so when you have this type of when you have these type of things going on, when you are controlling what people can take in to their own minds, you are dealing with something that is heinous. It's demoralizing, it's dehumanizing, because all of these different when you read the Bible, certain things stand out to you. Or you read any book, you read any religious text, any self-improvement book, a title might stand out to you, which will make you take it off the shelf. But as you read, there are passages that stick with you, like the lines from that song that we just heard. And so, and for every person, our journey is personal. And so when people take that away or attempt to take that away, it's a whole nother level of game. And like I say, that's when you pay attention to what they say is available. And so
It's interesting that you say that. I went home this past weekend, and I used to go to the bookstore. It's a little complex. You got Kroger, because I'm always buying live flowers. I've got Kroger right there. Then they had Books A Million, and then on the left you had Office Depot. So I love books and I love office supplies. Pens and pencils and colored pencils and all that. And when I went back recently, I went to that same spot because I wanted to get some live flowers. I wanted to look at the new pens and pencils and colored pencils. And I wanted to go into the bookstore. The bookstore is not there anymore. Guess what's in the place of? A beauty shop. That hit me so hard. You're talking about how sometimes you read. And I said, so wait a minute. Y'all took away the bookstore, but put a beauty supply store in there. Now think about how big bookstores usually are, right? How big they are. So now you got this big old beauty supply store where the books used to be. And so for me, it's a continued testament of how this country feels about us as people, as humans, because they don't want you to be educated, because we continue to dumb things down. And what's interesting to me about this article, you said if there's anything I wanted to say. Now, I'm not judging the writers. I'm not judging them. I'm not. But I am going to say this. For those of us who, English majors, literature, whatever it is, however many of us know that the title of a book is either supposed to be underlined or it is supposed to be written in italics, the title of a book. If it's an article, then you're going to use the article, you can use quotations for the article, but then the magazine that you find the article in, then that's the quote unquote book, you're going to underline that. The writers, whoever wrote this, doesn't know that. And I know they don't know it because they did it continuously. You know, sometimes people make a mistake. You see it one time, they'll correct it later on because they didn't even know they made that mistake. But if you keep doing it over and over, you think that's right. So for me, it was interesting. So you got people who are incarcerated, you worried about what they read because you scared they're gonna learn about how to get free, and they are already in a contained environment. But the one people that that are out here that you feel like you're supposed to have some kind of responsibility to, which is why we have schools and we have banks and all of those things, because you feel like you want to look like you care about us. You're not even teaching us. And so really for me, it's like you're not you. That's why you want them not to have the book, not because I feel like the incarcerated, not because you're worried about they're gonna have an uprising and they're gonna revolt, but because you cannot stand, the system cannot stand the idea, the fact, the notion that anybody who is incarcerated can dare to think. Because we have this idea that if you go to prison, it means it's something wrong with you. You didn't know how to read some. It's blah, blah, blah. So the people in prison, they can't amount to anything. They don't know anything. They don't have anything. But I was reading, what book was that? Bitter, Not Better. Better, Not Bitter, by one of the exonerated from Central Park. And he said, he was talking about that when he went in, he realized that some of the most intelligent people he had ever met in his life were in there with him. And so all of these ideas and stereotypes and prejudices that we have around people who are incarcerated, we're not looking at the whole picture. You in there for a reason, just like they talk about the people who were kidnapped from Africa. You act like you just went over there and got some barbarians that were running around naked with bones through their nose. That's what you think. That's what's the image that you have. No, you went and got skilled artisans. That's what you did, because you knew that these people knew the reason that we could. You know what? They had to take us off our land, because, ain't nowhere in the world they would have been able to catch us on our own land where we know and understand the terrain. No way they would have been doing that. And so this idea about the prison ban, banning books in the prison, is happening out here too. So that's why I said we can't keep talking about populations of people. We can't be talking about those people who are in prison, those people who are being the immigrants, those people who others. You can't keep saying that. You can't keep saying that. Oh, hey, Lucas. Lo says, if you free your mind, your butt will follow. Books provide this opportunity. Books provide the opportunity to free your mind. Absolutely, they do. And I read that in the stories of the people that are in this article. And I really do hope, but I want to go to this one book, though, because you told me about it and I ordered it, but I have not read it. One of your favorite books. The one about 50 days on the vessel.
Mhm.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it's right there on the front page.
50 Days on Board a Slave Vessel by Pascal Hill. And so I do have it, but I have not read it yet. So talk to me about 50 Days on Board a Slave Vessel.
Well, this book was important to me because I hadn't ran across a document that was being written during our passage from the motherland through the transatlantic here to these United States of America. This was the first book I had come across. And of course, the brothers and sisters wouldn't have been able to write it because they were in chains, stacked on top of each other, forced to use the restroom on each other, diseases spreading from one person to the other. It getting so bad that they would have to take and throw people overboard just to keep the diseases from spreading. Hunger that you wouldn't believe, people being seasick, just unimaginable, inhumane conditions. And this man was capturing it, writing every day for 50 days what he saw, and he was part of the project. But, to have that, to be able to see that, and it appeared as though he really was one of the people that would write exactly what he saw, write the truth, what he saw, even though he was part of I believe He was a part of the team that was, supposed to see after people, keep a doctor of sorts, and as well as a part of the crew. But it was just interesting to see that. And then so after those 50 days, a brother and sister who is learning English during this time may not be able to express that story on the level of what he could, with English being his native language. And so that's why many of these stories we would hear about people talking about these things on the plantations, what ship they came in on, what auction blocks they came through, what path they took, what part of the motherland they came from. But we will be speaking in our own native tongues. And as you know, we were forbidden to speak our native tongues. We were forbidden to write in those languages. We weren't even allowed to write in English, for a while. And so when you know all this, all these stories that were lost. And so this provided me with the opportunity to be able to see, from a descriptive nature of what was happening. And I was saying to myself when I first read this book, like, man, my ancestors went through all this. This is imprisonment on a whole nother level. This is shackles and chains on a whole nother level. And I'm saying to myself, Brotha Knowledge, hey, if they could do it, if they could make it through, you here, you, true enough, you in prison, you going through things, you in shackles and chains, but you know that you have an opportunity, you have literacy, you can fight through the courts, you know how to write, you know how to read, you know how to do all these things, you can liberate yourself. If it weren't for those people that lived through those 50 days and came here, of course, we got a lot of people that's native here in these United States as well. But that bloodline, those bloodlines are merged. And I know from my own research that, hey, I wouldn't be here today if one of those, people hadn't been strong enough to make it through and been able to reproduce. And so I am my ancestors. And so it was just, that was one of the books, along with 100 Years of Lynching, books that they didn't want us to have. And when I got these books in, the people be looking at me like, hold on now, what you doing? Are you trying to start a revolution behind these prison walls? We can't have that. So I would be under mailroom investigation. Make sure you thoroughly check out his books as they came through. And I had many books that I never received and that had to go home. But me being blessed to have parents who love me, and they were able to keep some of those books safe, and I was able to see them after I made it through. So it's a whole lot to the story. But I would like to say that one of the most important things that I was reminded of during this whole situation was that my mother sent me my first book while I was in prison, and I didn't ask for it. I was just 14 years old, didn't know what I was gonna do, how I was gonna make it through. And she had the audacity to send an allegory, a book that called High Speed on
High Places.
Yes, ma'am. And because she was worried about Christian books being not being allowed to come through.
But they let some religious books come through. Charitable, or the charities that they want, they let those books go through. I want to pause for a moment of silence because you mentioned it here. And when I read the part about our ancestors being on the ship, like I have a certain, certain image in my head of what that looks like. I've seen some of the I've seen some of the ships, and I've seen some of the places where they were housed in the ships. I've seen some of those things. But it was only when I was reading this article that I stopped to think about them having to use the restroom, the bathroom to relieve themselves of their urine and their fecal matter on each other. Like I knew that they were piled up. I knew that, but I just never stopped to think about all of their bodily fluids. And I mean, because these are humans, so their body is working. Like this is normal. What bodies do. And now you got them confined like this. You got them on top. Like what their body still has to do what their body is going to do because they are human, regardless of how you're treating them. And so there was a whole different image for me to sit with and think about. I know I'm going to be sitting with it and thinking about it, but I just want to pause right now for our ancestors who were in that situation and just bring them into this space and hold them sacred just for a few seconds. Okay, thanks for that. Look, I needed to breathe. Okay, so here's Lucas asking the question. Have either of you read the book When Trees Testify? Science, Wisdom, History, and America's Black Botanical Legacy by Baronda L. Montgomery. It explores the relationship between specific tree species and the history of Black Americans, framing trees as material witnesses to the lives of enslaved Africans and their descendants. The key themes are it discusses how certain trees, like those used in lynchings, the poplar tree, or those domesticated by enslaved people, the pecan tree, hold scars. Wow, no, I haven't read that. Thanks a lot for that. I haven't read it. I got to put it on my list. Every time y'all tell me book title, I put it on my list, and then I have to go. Thank you for that, Lucas. Yeah, I put it on I put it in my Amazon cart, but then I go order it from Pyramid. And let me just say one thing about Pyramid. And no, I'm not getting paid to say this. I went in there. I was reading. What was I doing? Whatever. One of y'all sent me something to listen to and to read about, and it had some names of some books. Winch, Property, Jubilee. Those were the three books I wanted to make sure I went. Winch, Property, and Jubilee. And when I went to go pick up I had to order one of them. And when I went to go pick up my books, Latrice, she said, "Did you want it in hardback or paperback?" I said, "Oh no." She said, "Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute." And she went and got the two copies and she looked and she said, "Oh, this is the one you want because it's already been signed." And I was like, "What? You better give me a signed copy of this book." And so that's the kind of care you cannot get from Amazon, right? The black bookstore that we have here, every time there's a literary festival, every time there's they take the books, they visit with the authors, and they get them to sign them for you, for us. You can't get that at Amazon. Calling you live on the air, KABF. Thanks for calling Community Voices.
Good morning, Sister Denise, and to your guests and those on the web, and of course those who are listening. I wanted to just add a few experiences to the conversation. I once went to a law library to get some specifics about a matter that I had to have addressed. It was civil court. And the law library at that time was located right there by the Doubletree Hotel downtown, right across the street from the Blackness County Courthouse. The librarian refused to assist me in getting the information I needed, exclaiming that she was not an attorney and she couldn't give me that information. I said, "Well, no, ma'am, but you're a librarian. You're supposed to assist just as the librarian does of the library." Since then, of course, I got the information I needed. I was assisted. Since then, I think the law library has moved to the School of Law over by MacArthur Park. But to make a long story short, there is an effort to suppress folks who need information that the professionals have. It's a ongoing situation. Of course, as you know, there were laws passed to keep blacks from the slaves from reading, and those who assisted them were also found guilty and in some instances dealt with very harshly. They could kill you back in slavery if you taught somebody to read, etc. Even if it was to help you in your farming or your whatever endeavor you had that you need the slaves to know. So I'm saying all that to say that it's a law that requires the prison system to make available the law library so that prisoners will be able to assist in their defense. And that's where the experience of others comes in, because there are what you call precedents. And that's where someone previously had gone before the courts and was ruled to be innocent, or they used certain methods that they were not supposed to use, and so they have laws set up to where they can't do that again, or can't incarcerate that person or anyone who's guilty or found guilty of those so-called crimes or whatever, and infractions. They have lots of precedents where people have been sentenced and shouldn't be sentenced, or have been found guilty and shouldn't be found guilty because it wasn't an overt act, or it wasn't what the prosecutor said it was. But these prosecutors have what they call kangaroo courts. That's not something you make up. That happens. Just like you mentioned, the guys who were in New York that were sent to apartheid. That's been going on ever since they've had court. I mean, we know what first responders, police, and folks do when they see us. We automatically guilty, and if you're lucky, you go to jail. Back in the old days, you get hung and lynched. And that's as we've witnessed throughout our being here in America. So I'm saying all that to say this: if you can read, get your behind in a law library, prison, the school to the pipeline. Keep trying to get that education, because it's going to do you good and it's going to do somebody else good if we do fight or become, as your guest said, an activist and do something to make things better for not yourself but for our community, because we all are one. And I just want to say that I'm impressed with this brother speak, because what he's had to endure, all I can say is, boy, I know you're glad you're here with us. And glad ain't the word. I'm just being euphemistic. I don't know of anyone personally in my experience in life that's had to go through what you've gone through. And I've known a lot of folks in my 80 some years. I don't know personally anyone that had to go through what you've had to go through. And I commend you for what you are doing and attempting to do to keep up the good work. God be with you in your efforts, and thank you so much for showcasing this brother on your program, Sister Denise. I get out there, and I hope someone else has been influenced, or I've got to go vote, and if someone else has been enlightened as I am by what he's had to say. Thank you very much.
I want to say we're running out of time. So Lucas says, wow, I love that they would even get the book signed for their patrons. Yes, that's the kind of care you can get at Pyramid Bookstore right there at 1001 Wright Avenue in Little Rock, 72206. We only have a couple of minutes, but I do want to say that one of the things I learned through reading the article is that about how you, especially, like, that's where you got your name, brother. Like, they gave you the name Brotha Knowledge, right? Because you were always reading, you were always trying to put somebody up on some knowledge, some education, some information. And so to me, that's a gift for somebody else to watch you move and then say, this is the name that we give you. And then it's Brotha Knowledge. It's not like it's pipsqueak or something like that. It's Brotha Knowledge. But one of the things that I found also fascinating about the article is that if the ban does happen, if it is successful, some of the best libraries that y'all have are the ones that are y'all personal libraries, the individual libraries. And so you all could barter with each other. Hey, you want to, let me let you read this book, and you're going to let me read this book. So it was a whole exchange, it's a whole clubs, a whole family time, getting everybody to read these books. And I could just, in my mind, I was just imagining what it would look like if everybody's outside, where they had I don't know what you call it, in that area where you can watch the TV, everybody's joined together, look like they on little benches and stuff like that. I could just imagine imagine somebody reading to the whole crowd, like the whole, everybody sitting there listening, like aptly as somebody's reading. Like, so that was just tender to me, that in this space where you are being treated so inhumanely, that you all found a way to be humane with each other, and you did that over books. So I thought that was great. I want you to make sure you have the last word, because we got to get up out of here. So what else you want to say to us before we go? And I do want to tell people that the first time I saw you when you came out, where were we? We were at Pyramid for Kwanzaa. The first, so he came out the joint to the community events. I remember that. So what do you have to say to us?
I like to say, brother reminded me, and like Don said, talking about the school to prison pipeline. I came through that pipeline, at 14 years old, and luckily for me, on the other side was the Underground Railroad. People like yourself and community today that's still putting in work, Decarcerate, Freedom Fund, so many different brothers and sisters who come when called. And so I just like to thank the community for all the efforts that you all put in. Very, very close friend of mine, Brother Osiris Bali, always, putting in the work and offering me opportunities to show up and be around, And so, it's just important, and I'm thankful because, we got that started up, school to prison pipeline. We definitely trying to dismantle that. And I also want to say, let's continue to build on this Underground Railroad. Let's give more people the freedom, Let's do like the sister, Harriet Tubman, and get as many people as we can. And so y'all keep doing good work, and I'm glad to be a part of, glad to know this community. I love you.
Thank you so much for tuning in for Community Voices, where we have been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people, with special guest Brotha Knowledge. And he'll be back at some point, I'm sure, because I'm going to drag him just like I did this time. But I can't wait for you all to see him out. He is doing the thing. He's in the places. He's making the moves. Yes, yes, yes. And it's all because we all pitched in to do our part, right? We all pitched in to do our part. Your girl Lola is right here at the door. I'm talking about peeking in, because she can't wait to get over here in this seat. I'm in the lead seat. She can't wait to get over here in this seat, because you got 2 hours of jazz coming up. She's going to start with the ladies on Jazzy Tuesday, and I'm going to get her started with Natalie Cole, because as I was thinking about this conversation and all the stuff that we talked about, this is how I feel sometimes. I'm catching hell. That's what she's saying. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
That's nice.